This is an analysis on the animation principles and cinematography of Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. I'll be analysing this sequence at the beginning of the film.
The rest of you, play double time! Spanish Splinter!
This short but powerful sequence uses a variety of animation principles that I want to talk about. The first one is squash and stretch. Squash and stretch is the principle of applying a constraining change of shape to give a sense of flexibility and life in animation. Although short, if we slow it down, we can see how Puss and the finger are squashed and stretched to emphasize the impact force. We see how the shapes of Puss and the finger are morphed as they collide with one another, resulting in the finger stretching out to absorb the force, and Puss's body stretching as he comes towards the finger before being squashed from the sudden impact force. The second technique happens shortly after, where we see the giant react to what just happened. This is where exaggeration is used. Exaggeration is the principle of pushing movement further to add more appeal to the action. We see this done very well here as we see the giant's facial features and body language be overly exaggerated. We can see his thumb is highlighted red to show what is hurting and the secondary motion of his face screaming. We also see his other hand move up closer to his face to emphasize this emotion. We also see his pupils get bigger to guide the viewer's attention to where the pain is coming from. The last principle I want to talk about is timing. This refers to the number of frames between two poses, or the speed of action showing the personality and nature of the animation. I really like this part of the clip where we see the two characters running towards each other. If we slow it down, we can see how Puss is animated on ones, while the giant is animated on twos. This is done for a number of reasons. First, we know that Puss as a character is very confident in himself and is also very skilled. Him being animated on ones can further this, showing he's very fluid in his actions and decisions. We also know that Puss is small, around 2 feet tall. With his small size, he can be expected to be faster, and using ones can help show the different movements he's doing at speed. On the other side, we have the giant that is almost always seen animated on twos. This was done for the opposite reasons of Puss. The giant is massive, and we know that the bigger the object is, the harder and more force is needed to move it. For the giant, the animators use twos to emphasize the big clunky movements as you run towards Puss. They then help with some of the fluidity by using smear frames and speed lines to show he's still moving while being very big. Moving on to the cinematography of the clip, we can see how different camera techniques are used to help support the animation. This clip used 13 shots in around 18 seconds. Most of these are used to showcase to the viewer the distance that Puss and the giant are away from each other, and the impact from when they collide. In the first shot, we see Puss look behind the camera, telling the viewer he's planning to move past it, and cut to a shot of him flying out the building to show the direction he's going. In the next shot, we have the giant turn around to see what Puss is doing from Puss's perspective. We know this as we now know that he's flying towards him. We then see another shot of Puss flying directly towards the camera, showing to the viewer what the giant sees from his perspective. We then have the giant's response to also start moving towards the camera from Puss's perspective again. We cut back to Puss moving even closer to the camera to show how fast he's moving, followed by a matching shot of the giant running towards the camera. We then cut to a wide shot of Puss and the giant coming from different sides of the screen. We see Puss coming in first as he's the small object at high speed, followed by the giant who's much larger and slower. We then get a quick medium shot of the characters, now even closer together, to guide the viewer's attention towards the center of the shot, before a close-up of the giant's thumb and Puss colliding with it. We then cut back to somewhere else where we see a wide shot of the crowd and people reaction to what just happened, and then a medium shot of the giant's reaction with streaks to guide the viewer's eyes to what the giant's reacting to. The final shot is the giant's POV again, showing Puss and the crowd to establish where everything is in the shot. All these shots allow the viewer to slowly build up and anticipate what is happening, without having to directly tell them. This would have been planned out by the animators very well from the storyboard stage. If we take one frame from each shot and put it into a storyboard layout, we can still understand what's happening from this alone.